Right, guys, welcome back.
Hi, it's me, Dr. Keke
And me,
Malova,
Dr. KK's husband.
my hubby. And yeah, it's been a minute, a couple of months actually, since I've posted any videos. And I wanted to explain myself and also to start loading more content about what's happening. But I thought it would not be correct to start talking about the situation without actually saying what the situation is and saying it with the person who is partly responsible for the situation. So, bless you.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell everyone?
Oh, we are pregnant.
Yay.
Good animations.
So we're expecting baby number 2. We are in the later part of second trimester, and there's a lot of things. There are a lot of topics and issues that I thought it would be great to address at this time. Unfortunately, pregnancy comes with, for me, it's coming with a lot of fatigue, lack of motivation, discomfort.
But she's still pretty.
Thanks. Basically, a lot of the things that we actually spoke about in our other video about how parenting affects relationships. I speak about a lot of my symptoms there. But I will do more videos about what I'm actually going through. But I thought what we could talk about today is just to touch on this pregnancy and what it means to us, and sort of what we've gone through to get to where we are. So I don't know yet what I'll call this video. A few things come to mind. One is pregnancy after losses. One that he's very passionate about is, well, yeah, I don't know if we can use it as a name, but it's got to do with not asking people when they're having a baby, or
Yeah, mind your own business.
mind your own business. So yeah, we'll see what to call it, but basically a lot has happened and it's not been an easy journey for us, and it's been very different to our first pregnancy in terms of how quick everything happened. With baby number 1, it was quick.
First 5 minutes. Go.
Okay. So yeah, so this time around, first, after our first child, I thought, I know, I'm good. This pregnancy thing, one child is enough for one and done. Even though I had always wanted 3 or 4 children.
I always wanted 2.
You always wanted 2.
And I've got 2. We'll have 2.
So it's something that is an ongoing conversation. But what is clear is that pregnancy is hard and children are expensive. So those will be the determining factors of how many children we end up having. And adoption is always an option.
Looking at me.
Because
I need to respond.
well, okay,
I don't disagree.
it's a
That's
topic.
my response.
It's a topic for another day. So I didn't think I could handle another pregnancy and postpartum and all the things that go with it again after baby number 1. Even though she was the sweetest baby, but it's just, I went through a lot, which we will talk about at another time. But from the time she was about 2, I think I started to feel like I could do this again. I was feeling more like myself again, and she was such a pleasure, and I really started having the strong desire that I wanted our child to have a sibling. I have 3 siblings, and you have 4. And it's one of the joys of my life, and I think yours too. You know, we are quite close with our siblings, so I really thought I don't want our daughter to be alone in the world. She may have friends and cousins and all of that, but we'd like a sibling. But then we thought, let's wait a year. When she turns 3, we'll start trying. And so we did. And we didn't try for long. We did fall pregnant in 2022. Yeah. 2022, early 2022, we conceived. And things were, first trimester came with its things, but it seemed things were going well. And this was like towards the end of sort of the COVID waves and everything, you know. So it actually survived COVID, even with me being an essential worker. And then someone went to Cape Town
and got COVID.
And
brought it home.
And brought it home. And then
You got COVID.
We probably all got it, but yeah, I got COVID. And I got quite sick. Didn't need admission or anything, but yeah, I just got quite ill, and I think I could feel that this virus is everywhere in my body. And then soon after that, I just started feeling, as I got better, also my pregnancy symptoms started to go away. So I was like, I don't know if I'm recovering from COVID or if what's going on, you know, but I'm concerned because even the nausea that is a strong symptom that I have when I'm pregnant is not there. So we decided to just wait a few more weeks. We'd already booked an appointment at the gynae. But it was quite a tough time for me because I strongly suspected in my heart that something was wrong. So that was a tough time. Lots of praying, lots of tears, being hopeful, yet I think kind of knowing. Long story short, then I eventually started spotting and went to the gynae, and then they confirmed that it was a miscarriage, but they call it a miscarriage if the fetus is still inside, but it was still first trimester. So yeah, it was a tough time.
It was a very tough time, and it's one that people don't usually share outside of family, because you're still dealing with it even for a long time after that. And I think that's where my very strong conviction about people minding their own business really got solidified. I didn't like it before, even before I had a child, when people were like, when are you going to have children? Because I think everybody's timing is their own and God. But when that happens, and when you realize that it happens more frequently than at least I initially thought, I don't know, maybe you as a doctor, you know, these things happen. But like to how many people it happens to, then you realize that to ask somebody when they're having a kid or another child, for me, is one of the most insensitive things that a person who is not close to that person's journey can say. And that statement can be qualified in many ways, but I think if somebody is not telling you or is not bringing it up, or maybe they had said it before and then they're not saying anything. I think people must leave them be. And then if you're an outsider and you see a person with one child and you're like, oh, it's time, I have very many not good words to say in response to that, but I think people really should leave other people alone. And then when it happens, be happy for them. Because it's like, you never know when you're asking that person. Maybe it's the day before they go to their gynae appointment. Maybe it's the day after they've gone to their gynae appointment and they've been told, oh, they've had a miscarriage. And you're busy on saying, when is the next one coming? So I really dislike that question from anybody. Even my dad, maybe you watch this video, maybe you won't, I don't know. At some point was like, yeah, you must have a second one. And I'm just like, people say things so easily, but you don't know what's happening. Let me stop there because I'm getting upset again.
Yeah, it's something that you're very passionate about. I think for me it was it didn't offend me, and I think also because I'm guilty of it as well. It's also something I used to do, and it's just, I don't know if it's a bad habit or if it's out of love or out of curiosity. But yeah, before I even had my first child, when someone had a child and they're growing up, I'd be like, oh, okay, so when's number 2 coming? Like, it's something you take very casually. But now understanding that there are issues, people can have secondary infertility, and some people never ever have that second child, and it's strange because you would think that you'd be happy anyway because you have a child, but once that desire comes for another child, and then when that doesn't happen, or you're faced with the possibility of it not happening, it's quite it's difficult. Hey, I don't know if I don't even want to even compare it to not having any child. I always used to ask myself, so what, people who have miscarriages when they have no children, what that must be like? I really can't imagine. So that happened, and the medical interventions were done. I had my DNC, and I felt okay. I felt like, God's got this, it'll be all right at the time. But I think maybe I hadn't really processed it properly, because then over the months later, I started to actually get upset about it. But then the thing that I think made it worse or even more confusing was about 2 months later, we fell pregnant again. Well, at least I knew that I had fallen pregnant again because we had positive pregnancy tests. And now, because of the paranoia, I was repeating these things like every other day. And then probably about, I don't know how many weeks later, but this time we didn't even have a gynae appointment. Then my period came, and it wasn't a normal period. It was like, I knew that I was miscarrying because there was pain and lots of clots and a lot of things going on. So by the time I went to the gynae about a week later, everything was already done. So we count that as the second miscarriage in that year. And then from then on, things were just never the same. I was a very regular cycle person. Cycle became irregular. I just really didn't know what was happening. At some point, I was even suspecting that I'm going into early menopause, But then last year we decided to just take the pressure off ourselves. Although still trying, we were going to do what was needed medically to try and make it happen. without before we got to the whole IVF stage and all of that. And there are things that can be done to try and assist people to fall pregnant before going that route. So we were going to try all of those things, but at the same time, we'd made a decision, and he's better at it, so I'm the one who needed to make the decision to just live, you know, not to like dwell too much on it, and to actually enjoy the child that we have. So that's what 2023 was about, and that's when also the idea for the channel started, and I was just focusing on looking into other facets of who I am, you know.
And I think it's important to also add that, you know, you also have the responsibility of still loving the child that you have, and like obviously on a daily basis you play with the child and you give them attention, but I feel like when there's a lot of emotional energy fixated on falling pregnant again, you can kind of miss the emotional energy you have to invest in the child that's there. And so for me, amongst all the other things of also it causing stress and anxiety, I just thought it's important to also be like, well, you have this one child and look at them and how perfect they are. Like, it's good to want another one, and I get that you want one, and the you is general, right? But like, this is a child you have. You know, you can't then completely divert attention to one that is not there. You know, so and then maybe that's my coping mechanism, but I think it became a matter of let's live, let's keep trying. And I think there was a period where we said let's leave it be, and then Atuga General in 2023.
In 2024.
No, 2023.
Dave,
the next year you said to start again.
it was going to be this year because I wanted. So early 2023 we were trying.
Oh,
Remember?
okay.
Miscarriages in 2024.
No,
In 2022, sorry.
Yeah. But the point was we were like, let's leave it. And you know, let's live. And then at a later stage when we're okay and emotions have, because it's very emotional, have settled, then we can, because also the emotional stress also doesn't help. It's not conducive.
Yeah, everybody tells you to relax. Just relax.
Yeah, but like you can't successfully conceive if you're not relaxed, and your body is tense and you're anxious. So it was important to also just let it go, find ourselves again. And I think for me, one of the things that 2022 was going through that and coming out of it. And 2022 was a good year. Remember, we had this weird thing where it was a really good year, I think also financially and whatever else, but like we had this terrible thing that happened. And it was weird to like recognize how good the year was. But I came out also realizing that I mean, like we go through a lot, and you never know. People never know, you know. You're just out there joking, not joking, being nice, not being nice to people, and you really have no idea what kind of a year or period they're in, and the importance of, I think, just being gentle to people, and then also to ourselves. Like, be gentle to ourselves, be kind, you know, focus on the stuff that we do have, that we, each other, our child, because the other stuff is a lot.
Everything can be a lot. So what happened is in 2023, the first few months, like I think March, April or somewhere there, was when we were trying to regulate my cycle, and I was taking some ovulation stimulation hormones, And that wasn't helping with the mental, just the anxiety around it, because every time your cycle comes, it's disappointing, and then you have to bring yourself back up to, So I think around May last year, I was like, nah, let's just stop everything. I'm no longer, I'll see the gynae next year. Like, let's just pause on this process. I just want to live. And I wanted to focus on my 40th, which I wanted to
drink it,
have a really good time. I wanted to just go.
And your Euro trip.
Yes, and we were planning a Euro trip, so I didn't want any stress. So we let it go, and we parked the issue, and we said we'll revisit it January 2024. And if it's too late, it's too late, also, because really.
We clearly didn't park everything.
So, then I remember exactly, like August, started feeling discomfort in my breast. And I had previously had this discomfort in my left breast. So I thought, oh gosh, is it time to go for another mammogram just to make sure everything is still fine? Then I was late. My cycle wasn't coming. And then on Women's Day, I decided to take a pregnancy test just to check, I didn't really suspect. And then it was positive. I was pretty shocked.
Damn, no party.
I couldn't believe it for a while. I actually didn't tell him that day. I think I waited for 2 or 3 days because I was like, really? I was actually starting to contemplate that it might not happen for us. So when we went to Europe, by then we knew that it was first trimester. I celebrated my 40th with the belly.
And no shampoo.
No shampoo, no late nights. And here we are.
How many weeks now? Surely we're in the 30s.
No. Okay. This is week 27.
Time is moving slow.
It's
because we're on holiday now.
It goes slow. I'm sorry.
No, when we were working, it was like 20. So it was 25.
Babe, at no point has time been flying for me.
For me. 27.
Yeah. So we are 27 weeks.
Yeah. 13 more.
12 were due end of March. And it's a happy time for us.
And it's a boy. Are we allowed to say?
Yeah, we've had our gender reveal, so it's a boy. So we have a girl and a boy.
So we're done.
We're definitely done. I'm definitely done carrying babies. I'm not doing this again. So that's what we wanted to share. If anything else comes up, you guys can ask, and I'll answer your questions.
Oh, and I think if people can also in the comment section talk about this whole asking people just your views on it. Obviously I've expressed mine, like views on, should people ask, how should people ask? I think there are ways to ask, right? Like the one example is a random guy at church that we were attending for the first time, even or the second time. Basically didn't know anyone there. And I was standing with my daughter at the back, and then he's like, yeah, it's time for a second one, you must have a second one. Quite insistent, and I actually felt very annoyed by that. But I think there's ways to have a conversation that can lead to it. But like just to drop a thing is that I find it very insensitive. So views and opinions on that, and maybe experiences that people have had in their own journeys, and people coming in, whether it's the mother-in-law or the father or the mother or the brother or whoever.
So, but just to say, to watch this space, I'm really going to try my best Thank you to the encouragement from my
Kondani.
sister Adi and our friend Kondani. I'll try and share what I'm going through. It's really not easy. Just getting up and getting dressed feels like the day's job is done. But there's lots to talk about. There's, pregnancy after loss is a real thing. Secondary infertility is a real thing. Being pregnant in your 40s is a real thing. Pregnancy itself, choosing your gynae, birthing plans. So
being a pregnant husband is also a thing.
That too.
Maybe for my channel. I'm not saying it has to be on your channel.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, all of it, the entire thing, having a child and being pregnant and introducing this idea that there's a second one coming and prepping them to not be a monster is also a thing. Conversations to have with the child to ease it on, and planning as well, like where they're going to sleep, what are you going to do now that you've had one pregnancy, like how would you do it better? I think it's important to think about those things and plan them and just make life easier as far as one can.
And pregnancy and working as a working woman.
It's the pits.
Yeah. So yeah.
But otherwise, we're happy.
Ecstatic, thankful.
And tired, but very happy.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.